Well, I guess, the first question I'm going to try to ask everybody is, can you pinpoint the moment that, you fell in love with the craft of acting and performing?
Yeah, it's funny because I've told this story so many times and it's totally true story. When I was three, I wanted to be two things, a kangaroo and an actor. True, I swear to you, my mother will attest to this. And I honestly don't know which threw off my parents more, the whole, thought of being a marsupial or like an unemployed actor one day. So
Did you ever sort of pursue or study marsupials? You know?
no, no, I have no idea. I think I was like, I probably just like the fact that they jumped a lot. I have no idea. I have no 3-year-olds, they, as you know, they come up with God
Yes,
knows what. So
yes, they sure do. Oh man.
I came from like blue collar slash ish white collar family. So they were all about security and
Mm.
you had to get a job because you had to make money and you had to stay in a job forever. And as a kid who, had all these grandiose dreams and wanted to be an actor, that wasn't really in their wheelhouse. So it's not that they weren't supportive, they just were way in another lane. So, like I took acting classes off and on when I was young because it always kind of would come up and I'd get that feeling and I'm like, oh, I really, really want to do this thing. But, and this, you know, kind of talks a little more down the line, but when I went to school, I went to Seton Hall, actually right by you, and I went for finance because that was the safe thing. And then it was like, okay, well, I don't like this job. I hate this boss. I don't like the commute. I was never happy because I wasn't fulfilled. So then I went back to school and I got my MBA because I thought that maybe that would make me happier. And went for marketing. And then like in that world, I had little bits of happiness because I was on a lot of photo shoots a lot for marketing. So I'd be in the city all the time on shoots. And that was fun because that was sort of kind of like acting, right? You're kind of like in that world. I would hire the actors and, all in the models and things.
Mom, you're scaring me.
Don't be. So it would always kind of rear its head and I would squash it, right? Like I'm to this, I'm to that. I have kids, I have a mortgage, whatever the thing was. I'm like, well, I got to do these things first.
You cannot talk down to me. The customer's leaving right now because you're screaming.
Jake, it's pretty messy over there. Can you just wipe it down?
You're flirting, really?
Yeah, you got the oven open now. Can you just go stick your head in it?
You think you're funny, don't you?
I don't know. Maybe we can bring things back one day.
It's funny because, in business in general, people get laid off, right? So in my career, I got laid off 3 times. And every time I got laid off, most people would be like, oh my God, no. I was so excited. I was like, yes, I got laid off. So the third time I was laid off, I worked for a startup. I couldn't stand my boss, actually. It was fine. And she was acting really weird. So I was like, and I'm very intuitive. Like I kind of have a very, very strong sixth sense. So she was avoiding me and I was like, look, can you come in my office for a second? And she's like, okay. And she's still avoiding me a little bit. And I'm like, if you're going to lay me off, I'm like, I want a runway. I don't want to be told the same day with a box to go, wherever. And after she like picked her jaw off the ground, she was like, okay, I'll give you a month. And yes, we're going to lay you off. So I saw that like I was 40. I was like, dude, I'm 40. I need to do this. Like, there's no more chances. I am old now.
Look, Dad, sometimes you've got to put yourself first.
I took that as a kick in the butt and I went out and got really horrible headshots and started a resume with nothing on it except for a few classes, whatever, and just started applying to things. And that's kind of where it started. I actually still have the resume. It's like a bunch of white paper. That's really all it is. On it. And I really kind of took that. I mean, I always had to try and have like a day thing. From that point forward, I consulted so I could have my own hours, so I could audition and things like that. But I found even still like that was so fulfilling, even just to try, that if I never did anything again, I'd be happy. Like at least I gave it a shot, right?
Did you ever, in the early process of, putting yourself out there, did you find yourself being able to filter out kind of like the sketchy or the, kind of the disingenuous opportunities that people put out there?
Yes, it's so funny because, like I said, I have a really good sixth sense. So once you start to see, you would know. I mean, I would pick up right from the ad itself. If it's too good to be true, no one's getting $10,000. I mean, hello,
Yeah.
all these crazy things. But I have gone on a couple auditions in the city, got a bad feeling, and walked out. Like you could just, yeah, because I mean, I'm not afraid to just get up and go if you have to.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
also had auditions where people were really mean. I had one, and this woman was just awful. And I was like, what just happened? Like, some
Right.
things like that. Even if I got that job, I probably wouldn't have taken it because she was just that awful.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, they're definitely out there. There's definitely some sketch going on out there for sure.
for sure.
So is there anything here you liking? Flan? Are you sure?
I mean, I think the biggest piece of advice is to not give up, right? Because it's a gig business. And if you gig up, if you give up, you don't know what's around the corner, right? I mean, you could be one step away from a really great project. Or the other thing, that I've learned in talking to people and just being on sets is you meet people on sets too. And you
Yeah.
work with people like yourself, and you can work with them over and over because they're good people, you get along. Like, so that advice, the other piece of advice is don't ever kind of snub a student film, because I've met really great students who are now directors, producers, and I'm still friends with them 10 years down the road, so that was a really good piece of advice too.
So it's a spring fling at the end of the month. It's our adult-only event. Nothing freaky, just wine and food. Did you get a flyer?
I don't think so.
Were you part of our Facebook page? Because we post all of the neighborhood info there, but it's so weird you didn't get a flyer. Huh. Well, you know what? Nicole is your street captain, and she is usually on top of things. But if you didn't get one, I will personally deliver one because I want to make sure you guys are there.
You're so welcoming and easygoing that it wasn't like that process was not nerve-wracking at all.
Gotcha.
You're very
Gotcha.
buttoned up, which is very important.
Uh-huh.
But the whole process was fun. I mean, especially looking through the windows, because that was just such a fun project for sure.
I know therapy wasn't your idea, but you agreed to it. Why? We still have half an hour. Shall we use it productively?
You still get paid either way.
And you're free to go anytime,
Well, after 29 minutes, I will.
respecting the clock. I appreciate that. Believe it or not, outside of this office, I don't enjoy talking much. A lot can be said without using words. And I do enjoy people watching.
That role, because she was like, a therapist, they're very introspective, and, they have that warmth in them. So I think that and that's kind of what I am, very introspective. So I think I kind of just tapped into me in that role, you know what I mean? But yeah, that was a fun one too. It's funny because I love comedy, and like I kind of lean that way because I'm just a very sarcastic person. But I really like the darker roles too because they are so different. They're fun. Like I did one like reenactment kind of show, and like I was in a really bad relationship, and the guy had to like throw me up against the wall, and he was like, "This is so fun." He's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No, this is great."
I thought he moved out.
Yeah, well, he keeps coming back to get his stuff. He's driving me insane. I always thought if he was gonna kill someone, it would be me.
What did you do at lunch today?
I ordered in.
I drove by the office, your car wasn't even there.
I went for coffee, Tony.
Are you lying to me?
No!
Do you remember there being a difference in how you prepared for a therapist role when you're talking to the client versus when you're talking to your daughter?
All right, Mom, I'm headed out, so I'll see you later. Thank you again.
Nomi, have a seat.
I really gotta head out, but we'll do lunch this week?
Now, please.
Okay. What's up?
Like work versus parenting.
Yeah.
Well, parenting is work. They're
Yeah,
totally
right.
different, right? Because
Yeah.
the therapist was more, you have to be very professional and you can't let your emotions get in. But as her mom, right, she was pissed at her and she's like, had enough with you. So that was like a completely, yeah, you're almost two people in a weird way, right? Your parent role versus your work role.
You care to tell me what you were doing there?
That is photoshopped, obviously.
Really? Okay. Then what about this one, Nomi? We didn't bust our asses putting you through school for you to prance around like a Playboy bunny. I can't believe this, Nomi. I mean, keep this up and you're not gonna get a job. Who the heck would take you seriously?
Maybe this is what I like doing. Is it a crime? It's just modeling. What, do girls in Victoria's Secret catalogs not have real jobs?
Not long-lasting ones, no. But you were 21 years old and you're about to graduate. It's time to act like an adult, Nomi. And adults, they wear clothes.
And speaking of parenting, did you find it difficult to balance your home life as you're transitioning into this new chapter of really pursuing the performing arts?
It's funny because when I started, I'm trying to think, my older daughter was like teenage-ish, and
Gotcha.
she kind of would come with me on auditions. And then I had another daughter who's now 15, and she was little. So then she would start coming with me on auditions. She helped me with so many scripts, memorizing, that she remembers some from years ago. Once in a while she'll like throw out a line. I'm like, I remember that. She enjoys it. And it's funny because my older one recently graduated college and she went for film production. And writing. And I never pushed it. My only rule with going to school is do something that you love. And she did. And now, she's trying to get into that world as well. So I guess it definitely rubs off, but they were definitely part of the process.
Do you know anything about them?
Why? Why are you suddenly curious about your biological family?
There we go. English.
I always have a problem seeing myself on film.
Right.
Like that's a hard
Right.
thing to see because you're like, oh my God, I could have done this differently, whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love seeing a finished product because that's my favorite part. Believe it or not, while acting is great and, auditioning can be fun, I love the final product is really it for me because I love seeing it all put together. I think it's so cool.
This is all I ever wanted.
People in this business, people outside of the business, I should say, always kind of seem to perceive your success as kind of moving towards a kind of like a Hollywood-esque path. And if they don't see you on TV, if they don't see you in movies and, you're not winning awards, it's like, how successful are they really? Have you felt that way, or do you feel like you don't really have that kind of writing in your brain?
Look, would I want to be on like a crazy successful film in Hollywood? Yeah. But I've also learned that, that's a very small percentage. So you
Right.
have to set goals or enjoy the ride, right? Enjoy the everyday, the small projects. It's funny, my very, very, very first thing that I ever did was like a background role. It was in some diner in New Jersey. It was a Columbia graduate student from Australia, great guy. And I go, and you go on a set and you don't know what to do. No one really helps you. I'm like, where do I go? People are like, I don't know. So I go, I sit down, I'm waiting, this background person, right? And they're like, yeah, hang out here. And the director comes over and he's like, oh, nice to meet you. He's like, do you know how to waitress? I'm like, no. He's like, well, one of our main characters didn't show up. Would you like to be our main character? I'm like, wait, say what now?
Anything else I can get for you?
You only gave her one line in the script.
Anything
Okay.
else I can get for you?
Okay, coffee, please. Thank you.
If again, like if I died in that moment, I would have been completely fulfilled. So if you can find fulfillment in the little things, you're going to go a lot further in this business, because then you have that happiness. Happiness attracts happiness, right? And fulfillment attracts fulfillment. So if your only goal is to be in a blockbuster film, I think that's great. Can you do it? Probably, yeah. Why not, right? But I think you have to find the nuances and the happiness along the way. Otherwise, you're going to be disappointed.